All right. Woo, that was a struggle. It's difficult for me to see my cursor because of the light on the screen. So when I'm moving the cursor around, I can't see. All right. You say you invited somebody?
Yeah, Dr. Brown will be here and Casey. Remember Casey? The young man that did that thing for us. His mother. She's quite,
Oh, okay.
quite in line with what we're doing.
Okay. Hey, how y'all doing?
And, the head of the Vegetable and Fruits Association, he said he's coming after church.
Okay.
And another brother named Echo. I don't have it on my phone. Well, you're not waiting for it now.
No, because it's already 1:40.
Yeah.
So some people are texting me saying they are coming, so whatever. They come. Yeah. Me, I don't like to do things and have people, the people who come on time, then you have them waiting.
Exactly.
It's not right. Hello, good afternoon. If you all could move up closer, that would be great. Some more people are saying that they are on their way and en route, but I like to show appreciation to those who follow the time and come on time, and we don't want to have you all sitting here and waiting. And plus, I'm streaming this, so other people who are not physically able to attend will be able to hear what we're talking about. And so those people are also waiting online. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you all for those of you who did arrive on time. So with that being said, let me go ahead and do a brief introduction. We do have somebody else that's coming. Brother Yao was just telling me, the head of the Fruits and Vegetable Association is supposed to be coming. So whenever that person arrives, we'll give him an opportunity to speak. So we decided that we needed to have this meeting because, of some crucial things that are happening, not just in Ghana, but not just in Ghana, but worldwide as it pertains to food security. Something that everybody needs to be thinking about for themselves and for their families. And I talk to parents, all of us, but especially if you have children, because the worst feeling in the world, I would imagine, is not being able to feed your kids, right? Then you start thinking about desperate things to do. First of all, there is a food shortage already starting to happen. And like I said, not just here in Ghana, but across the globe. I've been talking, I don't know how many of you are talking to your families and friends outside of the country. I'm talking to people all over, and I'm hearing the same thing, like shelves are empty. It's taken, and the prices, the inflation, that's a whole nother thing. So what is there, the prices are rising and rising regularly. Like you go this week, it's one price, you go back next week, it's another price, you go back the following week, and it's going up. So this is what's happening. We see here in Ghana, we have the CD is not performing well at all. So with the CD declining against the dollar, we're also experiencing inflation. Everything is going up. And that includes agriculture and construction and everything. So I'll give you an example. Some of the things that, a lot of you know, my husband and I are building for other people. The prices of things are going up so fast. I'm almost afraid, when I'm talking about quoting people prices for something, I'm really afraid, because if I tell you iron rods at this price and cement at this price, and this is what it's going to cost to build this for you, then 3-4 weeks from now, that price is going to change. You know what I'm saying? So things are not looking very healthy economically. The food prices. I do a lot of my shopping in the supermarkets, but just because of, I like to eat local food, but I eat a lot of things that my son and I are accustomed to eating. I have to go to the supermarket. The prices are increasing like crazy. I don't know how many of you have been going to the store, but it's crazy, right? And then when you couple all of that on top of the fact that some things are going to no longer be available, some of our staple things that we like to eat are not going to be available. What do? Well, we're not going to just roll over and die. We're going to figure out a way to feed ourselves, right? So that's what this is about today. Uh, I am going to introduce you to Brother Nana Kofi Menta. Let me go to my notes here and give you a little bit of background about Nana so you can know who you're talking to or who you're listening to. There will be a point at some juncture where we will open the floor up for discussion because this is not just about us talking to you and you listening, but about us coming together as a family and deciding what can we do collectively to make sure all of us have food security, right? All right. Take my glasses. Even though not traditionally schooled in agriculture, Nana went into farming 17 years ago, right after his completing his diploma in chemical engineering. Taking up his first employment on a pineapple plantation, he has a wide range of experience in production and export of fruits and vegetables. He's been a consultant in that field for the past 15 years, supporting farmers in West Africa to produce for both the local and export market. He is a trained expert in food agriculture practices and food safety in primary production. Nana has consulted on these issues for several international organizations such as UNIDO and COLI, COL APC, which is Europe, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific Liaison Committee, amongst others. So with that being said, I'm going to open the floor up for Nana. He's going to give you some background information about what's going on. He's going to tell you what the problems are, and then hopefully we can come up with some solutions. Nana?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Um, Good afternoon to everybody, and hi, and welcome to today's program. And I'm very excited to be part of this discussion because it's a very important discussion for all of us. Because issues about food are also issues about life itself, because you can't survive without food. So I'm excited to be part of this discussion. Um, and this discussion is really on point given the current global situation we are in, food security. And that is the trending phrase now globally, food security. And everybody is talking about it. Joe Biden is talking about it. African presidents are talking about it. Experts are also talking about it. And we must also talk about it because we are at the receiving end of all these talks. So our discussion for today is well set, and thanks to you for that, for thinking through it. So I want to start by putting a perspective on food security so that at least we can all be on the same page on the issue. I know it's not a new thing. Food security has been on several discussions for several years, and it's not a new thing. So a lot of us might be familiar with it. But for the purposes of this discussion, I want to um, iron out if we have any differences about what food security is. I want us to come to one consensus on what it is, and then we can now delve into the real issues. So they define food security, I mean the UN and all those international bodies concerned about food security, they define it as a measure of an individual's ability to access food that is nutritious and in sufficient quantity. So it's food security is simply a measure of your ability to access food I mean, not just food, but nutritious food and in sufficient quantity. So they have some five main pillars which they use to do this measurement. They look at the availability of the food. They look at access to the food. They look at utilization of the food and the food materials. They look at stability also. So when we talk about stability, we mean the absence of fluctuation of food on the market and also the fluctuation of food prices. So these are the things they use to measure food security. So in our case, we are now faced with the first issue, which is availability. So I want to talk about the Ghana case first, and then we can now link it to the global case. Because the Ghana case, if you look at it critically, did not start from now. It didn't start from this year. It didn't start with the issues we are facing globally because there were red flags raised years back, even last year in September, before all these global issues we are having. Last year, September, the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana raised the issue of food security. It was also raised by a lot of politicians, like, for example, the former president of Ghana raised it last year. The Ministry of Agriculture raised it last year. And also some experts in the sector also raised it last year. So the Ghana situation started at least a year ago. And why were they all predicting that there will be food insecurity in Ghana from 2022 and probably going forward? They also use the same measure that I have looked at. And the most important of these measures is the availability. And a lot of factors affect availability of food. So we can look at the production, we can look at the storage, we can look at the distribution of the food. And these are issues that affect availability of food. So let's look at the production of food in Ghana. What is the current situation of food production in Ghana? I can tell you, being a farmer, I can tell you that the current production of food in Ghana, the situation is very precarious. I mean, to say the least. And that is the reason why from last year, those in the sector started predicting food insecurity. Typically, there was this issue of import dependency in Ghana, where we import a lot of the key things that we need for agricultural production, from the inputs in terms of seeds, fertilizers, chemicals for treating pests and diseases, to the mechanization, tractors, and simple implements that can be used on the farm to make farming easier and to facilitate better production. We are import dependent on other countries for some of these things, nearly 90% of it, if not more. So this is a key factor that affects.
I'm sorry for interrupting. I hope y'all heard that. Did y'all hear what he said? 90%. We are 90% dependent on other countries for these important things for farming. I just want to make sure everybody heard that. They didn't go over y'all head. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. Right. So this is key. Now let us also look at the skill available for our farmers. Even if all these things we import, the fertilizers and the other inputs, the machines and all of that are available, what is the extent of the skills that our farmers have to use these things efficiently to produce the food for us? So there is also a serious skill gap. And about 80% of our food is produced by smallholder farmers. 80% of it is produced by smallholder farmers. And most of these smallholder farmers lack the skill to be able to produce efficiently, and also to be able to attain the expected yield. Okay, so these are two key important statistics that we have to bear in mind when we are talking about food production in Ghana. On top of all this, in our budget last year, the Minister of Finance said that import benchmark. Okay, so in Ghana, we had something we call the import benchmark, which was implemented in 2019. So they have a benchmark value between 30% and 50% on certain goods that are imported into the country, so that by us here at a lesser cost. This benchmark policy was removed in the budget for this year. So that alone, assuming that all these factors going on globally are absent, the removal of this benchmark value alone will trigger price increase because the import duties and all of those things will go up. So we already have this crisis on, should I say crisis? We have this situation on our hands since November when the minister read the budget. And in February, we now have this global situation going on. It's not only a war between Russia and Ukraine, but the war is bigger than these two countries. It's being fought. It's almost like a de facto world war because people are behind other people, pushing them to do things that those countries wouldn't be able to do by themselves. So this comes in when we are already facing this high increase in input prices and all of that. This thing kicks in. So now, even the availability of these things is also coming into question because Russia produces a good chunk of global fertilizer, China, and all of that. So with this placing sanctions on Russia and all other factors in this global war or in this war between Russia and Ukraine, we are going to face availability. These things are not even going to be available for us to even buy them at the high price that we will buy them. So right from there, we are going to have a problem with production. How is it going to affect production? First of all, a farmer who produces, let's say, 5 acres of a certain crop, let's say maize, and he needs production capital of about, let's say, 1,000 cedis to be able to produce that 5 acres. The increase in prices would already eat into his production capital. So it means that he will need more than 1,000 cedis to be able to produce the same 5 acres. So what happens if the farmer doesn't have the additional money? It means that the farmer will have to reduce the size of the land he can cultivate in order to be able to use that 1,000 cedi efficiently. So right from there, you are going to have reduction in the quantity of food that the farmer can produce. And when there is that reduction in the quantity of food, don't forget that our population is also going up. Yeah, I mean, the net is going up. So it means that we are going to, the current population, we are even not going to have enough to feed ourselves because, first of all, the situation is going to force some farmers to reduce their quantity of production. And secondly, there will be some other farmers who may decide not to even produce at all because he may feel that putting the 1,000 cedis in another business will be more profitable. So we are going to lose the production of those farmers altogether. So if you want to put all these factors together to measure just the first factor, which is the availability, you know right from the start that we are sitting on a red line because the production is a challenge. So it's definitely going to affect the availability. What about the access? So we talk about some factors which are used to measure food security. availability, and the production is a key input into the availability. We come to the second one, which is access to food. And they did some research, the Ministry of Agric did some research, and they found out that access to food is difficult in certain areas. It's more pandemic in certain areas of Ghana, like in the north, in the northern part of Ghana, and in some rural areas. And they estimated that about 3.6 million people in Ghana are exposed to food insecurity. This is data from before 2020. So Ghana's situation, nobody, unless you don't know the facts, then you will link it to what is happening now. But if you know the fact, you know that we had a um, red lights since 2019, and people started talking about it. So 3.6 million people are food insecure in Ghana. So those ones are there. I mean, the statistics has captured them. Then we have additional about 1.2 million people who are prone to food security. So you have those who are actually food insecure and those who are prone to food insecurity. And that is the situation we are facing now. All of us are now prone to food insecurity if you bring in the global factors right now. And what do we mean by being prone to food security? What we mean by that is that, first of all, prices will be high. So if prices are high, you can't buy it. Even though you earn some money, and previously you were not food insecure because your money was enough for you, now you are prone because there is the potential that your money might not be enough for you to buy the food. And secondly, you are prone because food that was then available to you might not be available to you now because of the situation we are in. So this is what we mean by being prone to food security or food insecurity. So add that to the 3.6 million people who are already food insecure, and the numbers are going up. So this is the situation we have now. So what do we do about it? And that is why we are here today, to look at what to do about it. There are practical things which can be done about it. And those practical things might not necessarily be prone to the global factors. Because right now, we have to look at how to at least wean ourselves to some extent from these global shocks. Because everybody is thinking about it now. People are thinking about moving away from the dollar to other currencies, or at least people are thinking about diversifying their currency or their terms of payment and things like that. So right from the top, people are thinking about how to stop depending on factors which will make them prone to these kind of vulnerabilities that we are talking about. And these are the things we are going to look at, but in our local context, what we can do practically in our local context. And I'm going to base this discussion purely on my experience and background in the agricultural sector, and also on my experience as a farmer, because I also have a land that I farm, and I produce some cassava, some maize, some vegetables, and stuff like that. So I'm going to use myself as a case for us to look at the practicalities of the things we can do. So before I go on, yeah, do you have any comments or question to?
Just yeah. No, we haven't opened the floor up yet, but we will. Um, Before he goes any further, yeah, I just want to touch on a couple things he mentioned in terms of it is a fact, and I don't know if a lot of our brothers and sisters in the states or us that are here who rely on money from the states are paying attention, but it's a fact that different countries are now moving away from the dollar, and they're doing it very quickly. And they are seeing how America was able to just cut Russia off from the world, so they thought. But by blocking them from the SWIFT system and all of these type of things, and so now other countries are thinking, hey, if they can do that to them, they can do it to us. So these people are literally now looking at ways to get away from the dollar. Saudi Arabia, who produces a lot of the oil, are in talks with China and other countries about trading in something other than the dollar. Now, the only thing that's keeping the dollar valuable, and this is what's important to those of us who have dollars, the only thing that's keeping the dollar as king right now is the petrodollar and the military to back it up. People are literally agreeing with each other. Countries, even India, are looking and agreeing with other countries to trade and do things in something other than the dollar. So when there's no more petrodollar, the dollar as you know it will exist, but it's not. It will be falling like any other currency. You understand what I'm saying? Where it's going to take you more of those dollars to pay your rent, more of those dollars to go buy your groceries, more of your dollars to do anything, because the price of everything will go up because the dollar won't be king anymore. You have countries that are getting rid of the dollar as its reserve currency. Unfortunately, our reserve currency here in Ghana is what? The dollar. So what's going to happen when the dollar is not the king anymore? And that's what our reserve currency is. If you think the CD is doing bad now, it's going to be even worse then. And these things are happening in real time. This is not us talking about some 10, 50. This is what's happening right now as we are sitting here talking. Countries are making agreements to buy and sell and trade and do everything in something other than the dollar. So this is something that's happening today. So this is why these things we're talking about are important today, and we have to start today. We literally have to figure out what we're going to do right now, okay, so that we can be prepared instead of sitting around and being reactionary and then run around, because nobody cares about what happens to Black people. I think you already know that. So Black people are going to have to decide how to do for themselves in this, changing world order, because that's what it is. We've been hearing about new world order, but all they're talking about is we've always had different world orders. At one point in time, Nubia and Kemet were the rulers, and then they left, and it was the Greeks and the Romans, and then they left, and then there were a bunch of people in between then, and then it became Britain, and then after Britain, now it's America. So what's happening right now is America is changing from America. It may be China, it may be some other person, other country that is the head, but it's changing. So that's all New World Order means, is America's time is coming to an end and somebody else will be at the top. Okay? It could have been us in Africa, but we're not ready yet, apparently. Okay? So with that being said, these are things I just wanted to say. Start thinking about these things right now, because we're going into rainy season. It's time to start putting something in the ground. Okay? It's time. If you don't have land, well, we'll get to those. I'm trying to jump right to the solutions. But I'm going to give the phone back to my brother so he can move on.
Okay, thanks, for the contribution. So, what do we do? Before we touch on what we are going to do, I want us to look at what we stand to gain if we do what we must do. What do you stand to gain if you get the steps right? If you are able to do the sacrifice that must be done today.
That's all right. Don't you see I'm talking?
Sorry. So, first of all, there's been a research by the African Development Bank that the next set of billionaires in Africa are going to come from agribusiness, not from IT, not from telecommunication, um, not from all the other um, stuff that we know of today, where the billionaires are coming from, but the next set of billionaires from Africa will come from agribusiness. So it means that agriculture and agribusiness is the future for us. And even if you look at the demographics, it favors Africa because a good chunk of our population is going to be very youthful compared to all other countries in the world or all other regions in the world. So it means that in terms of labor, we may not have any difficulties. Countries have technology, countries have solutions, countries have so many things that can make their lives better, but labor has been a challenge, even in America, and they have to outsource and all. But Africa is not going to have that problem because of the favor we have with the demography in terms of the age and population distribution. So that is an advantage for us. Then, in agribusiness, when we talk about agribusiness, we are not only talking about the primary production, that is the act of producing the food. We are talking about the entire um, agricultural system from production, distribution, storage, supply of inputs, and all of those things. So you can still be in agribusiness without necessarily being a farmer. Because all these factors that we have talked about as factors that are affecting food security and making us prone to food insecurity are not the cause of the farmer. The farmer didn't cause those things. It is other people in the agribusiness industry that are responsible or that might be responsible. For example, the supply of inputs. If Africa were to have fertilizer manufacturing plants, okay, enough to be able to meet our fertilizer needs, it means that these things will not really have affected us. But we don't have it yet. Production of fertilizer is also agribusiness.
Yeah.
What about the production of the seeds? How many nurseries do we have that can meet the demands? Right now, they are producing hybrid seeds. And hybrid seeds, you cannot replant the seeds as we used to do it and get the same quality of produce. In fact, in some cases, there will be no germination at all. So it means that we will always have to be dependent on them for our food or for our seeds. And this is very, very, very serious issue because they can decide not to supply you with seeds and you can't produce. Even if you have a fertilizer, you have all of that. You will not have the seeds. And they can detect how much to sell the seeds to you. So there is an opportunity right there. If somebody can set up a lab to do hybrid seeds in Africa, and the person is an African and is not having allegiance to any of those countries, there is an advantage right there. What about the inputs, the pesticides, the weedicides, and all of that? We are feeling the impact of the cedi depreciation in terms of the import of these things because we don't produce them here. China produces a good chunk of the weedicides and the pesticides. They actually produce the base. All other countries, even in Europe, they just create the formulas from the base that China produces. So there is an opportunity right there for us. These are long-term things that we have to look at because anybody or any African that can break through in these areas is certainly going to be a billionaire, as has been predicted by the research. Because look at the population, look at the number of people doing farming. In Ghana, we have 80% of our food being produced by farmers. We have nearly 60% of our land being agricultural land. So you can imagine the sales you can make if you can produce fertilizer or you can produce any of the inputs that is required. So right from there, you see the opportunity. Let's also look at even the storage. More than 50%, if not more, yeah, let's say more than that. Let me be modest with my estimate of our food goes to waste through post-harvest losses and all of that because of poor storage. The government has tried to do something about it. Yes, the government has decided to build warehouses and all of that, but I mean, we have a problem generally with the way government policies are implemented. And what are we doing about that? Because there is an opportunity right there. If somebody can build an aggregation center with warehouse, storage facilities, and all of that, and put in the produce when there is bumper harvest and redistribute it when we have the lean season, that person is certainly on the way to being a billionaire because all the things that would have gone to waste, you'd get them cheaper when they are in abundance and you can sell them later. But the infrastructure is not there yet. That is why we have this high level of post-harvest losses. So there is an opportunity right there for us. So let's also look at the distribution. I believe a lot of us will go to the market and, and we see the way our mothers and sisters handle the produce there on the market. I mean, some of them are ignorant. They are not doing it deliberately, but they don't have the understanding how to handle your tomato so that you can have tomato that is not infested. They are not having that knowledge how to even handle your cassava. So you go to the market, you see the cassava being spread on the ground, you see the plantain on the ground, and all of that stuff. And I know that those of us here, we have been exposed to high standard of living. So some of these things may shock us when we see it, but it's not their fault. It's because nobody has taken up the opportunity to correct the situation. So you can imagine if you have, for example, a fresh produce wholesale point where you have considered all these food safety issues, handling, packaging, and all of that. Believe me, Ya wouldn't go to ShopRite to buy her produce. She will come right there to buy it. So right from there, if you take this opportunity, you are already on your way to making a lot of cash. So these are the long-term to medium-term issues that we can address to be able to withstand the shock of food insecurity. But immediately, what are we supposed to do? Right now, from 2022, right from tomorrow, what can you do? Our challenge is production. At the moment, our challenge is production. And that is what we have to concern ourselves with. And I always say to my colleagues and other professionals I meet that why must you put the most important engagement of your life into the hands of somebody who doesn't know? Let me say an ignorant person. Because when you wake up after brushing your teeth, the next thing you are thinking about is what to eat to get the energy. And you put this into the hands of an illiterate. So you are a medical doctor, but an illiterate can kill you because that illiterate is the one handling your food. And you are not ready to intervene or to do anything about it. So I say that we must have the best of our brains in our primary production. Not necessarily going to take your tractor and plow yourself or taking up your hoe and going to weed if you are a peasant farmer, but at least setting up a farm with systems in place where others can work for you within the system so that you can get food to the market in the right way. in a safe way. So we don't have to leave it into the hands of the smallholder farmers anymore. You can also be a smallholder farmer. So they say a smallholder farmer is a farmer who has less than 5 hectares of farm. But 5 hectares is a big land. So if you and I, we can do 1 hectare each, and because of our level of education, we are able to do it following all the necessary standards. How many hectares do we have here right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We can have 20 hectares. So if we all had 1 hectare each before we came here, we will be looking at 20 hectares of production sitting right here. But is that the case now?
No.
It's not. It's not. So we have to participate in the production of food to be able to address effectively this imminent danger of food insecurity. We have to participate in the production of food. Now, in participating in the production, you don't necessarily need to own the land, because I know the issues when it comes to owning land in Ghana. You don't necessarily need to own it. Apart from leasing, you can rent. So if you don't want to put so much investment into your production, maybe you feel you are new to the area of producing farm produce, and you want to um, take caution, you can rent, because we rent land in Ghana every year. Like you can rent an acre of land for between 200 cedis and 300 cedis a year. You can rent. So if you want to rent 5 acres for 5 years, for 3 years, you can always do that. You don't need to buy the land. You don't even need to lease it. So you rent it, you do your production. If you want to renew it and the owner is ready to renew it for you, you can go ahead. You can start that way. So in that case, you reduce your risk. Because if you spend, let's say, $20,000 buying land, and your farming is not successful due to a lot of factors, you have $20,000 gone down the drain. But if you have $20,000 and you can rent land for like $5,000, you have extra $15,000 for your production. So this is a practical thing you can do to participate in the production. So we have to looking around the farming communities. They are always renting land there, always renting land there. Majority of the smallholder producers in Ghana don't own the land themselves. And that is the reason why the real estate developers are able to buy the land when they have the money, and it throws the farmers out of business, because they don't lease it nor buy it, they rent it. So when the rent expires and the owner says, okay, this real estate developer is bringing me $50,000, I'll not rent it, the farmer is out of business. So you can start like that, and when you get to the level where you think you really commit resources, you can lease it, or at best you can buy it, and it becomes yours. So this is one practical way, and you can rent land even tomorrow if you want to farm. You can rent land right after leaving here. You can rent. We are in the farming season. It has started. So we have no time. We should have started this discussion like in January. But right now we are in this situation, so it's better late than never. So if you want to participate, please find a land, rent it for a year, and try to do something and see the results. Now, prices of food is going to go up. In fact, they have already started going up. So what will happen if you have, let's say, 1 acre of cassava? Last year, I did some cassava. I planted some cassava. I harvested in December. I did about 3 acres. 60 square feet of my land with cassava on it gave me 350 cedis. So you have 10 of the 60 square feet in an acre. So it means an acre gave me 3,500 cedis. My cost of production. So I bought the sticks. I paid for weeding labor. So I weeded twice within the farm. And every 60 square feet, last year I was paying 25 cedis for the weeding. So times 10, 250. And I did twice 500 cedis. And I bought the sticks about 250 cedis. So I spent in all about 750 cedis to do an acre, and I had 3,500 in return. And it took me 6 months to multiply my 750 to that. And after planting and weeding, I just go to sleep. Because cassava is very resilient to drought and all of that. I didn't use any irrigation, and I didn't apply any pesticide, no fertilizer, nothing. I just supervised the weeding, supervised the planting, and the second weeding, and I went to sleep. I came to harvest in December, and I made that. And this 350 cedis per 60 square feet is going to go up from the next harvest season. You're going to get it like between 500 to 600. The least you can get will be 450. And let's say even your cost of production goes up to about 1,000. You'll be making a profit of 3,000 to 4,000 on every acre of land of cassava in 6 months. You want, let's, maybe he has some point to make. Do you want to make a comment?
I have a question, but I'm waiting. But the thing is, like sometimes you're saying stuff, and question just pops in my head.
Okay.
And
Please make a note. Yes, so that we can address it together. Okay, so that is for cassava. Let's talk about maize. Maize follows the same trend, and these are essential staples. These are essential staples. So no matter what, you still make a sale. No matter what, you make a sale because these are things that Ghanaians consume every day. Let's even talk about the vegetables. The vegetables are shorter, 3 months. Maize is also 3 months. Vegetables are also 3 months. So if you rent a land, an acre of land, and you go for maize with irrigation, how many times can you do in a year? At least twice. If you are very, very committed, you can do 3 times. So you turn over 3 times in a year. So farming is very, very good and very profitable. So by engaging in it, by producing something, getting a land and produce, you are not only addressing the food insecurity, you are also working your way into wealth. That is the situation of farming. And a lot of the time, my sister Ya and I, we try to think about external forces trying to suppress some of these good things that we have here. So our government used to subsidize certain things for the farmers, fertilizer, pesticides, seeds, and all of that. But they went to IMF some years back and they were told to scrap off that stuff.
Can you imagine?
And yet all these big countries, superpowers, are subsidizing their farmers. So they took the issue up to the World Trade Organization. And you know, those issues, those countries are still in control of those organizations. And they were like, okay, we've heard you. You have a point, but we cannot make a judgment in retrospect. So those of you who are already subsidizing, you can continue to subsidize. Those of you who are not subsidizing, you are not supposed to start. And yet they have forced our hands to stop subsidizing. So they allowed America and all other European countries to continue subsidizing. And they said, okay, you have already stopped, so you can't begin. Okay, so these are external factors which are fighting against us in terms of these good things I've talked about. Because if you are producing cassava in Ghana here and you are using it to feed your own people around you, and you don't need an exporter or an export market to come and dictate price to you, and you are making your money here, nobody is going to produce the rubber for them because you find cassava more profitable here. But they also need the rubber, they also need the coffee, they need the cocoa. So they will allow you to subsidize cocoa, but don't do it for cassava or maize. You know, but these are food security issues, and nobody thinks about us, as he has said. So we have to take the issue up ourselves. Okay, so I would bring my presentation here. I just want to set the framework for the discussion. And this discussion is for all of us. So I have just kicked the ball rolling. I might have mentioned some issues that are new, or I might have omitted some issues that are of interest to you. This is the time for you to bring it on board for us to share our opinion on it.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So, thank you, Nana, for giving everybody the background and educational information that we need so that we can start thinking about how we are going to address this issue to be able to feed ourselves. With that, I want to open the floor for discussion. So, questions? Okay, yes, brother.
Okay, I have three questions.
Uh-huh.
My first question, as a non-farmer, and I would like to go into farming, is there an association of farmers that I can relate to, that I can trust to employ somebody or ask good questions?
Okay, let me, for those, I don't know if they were able to hear. So, what the brother asked was, as a non farmer, he wants to know, are there any associations or organizations that he can go to get reliable support to be able to enter into that field?
Okay, thank you, brother. Yes, there are. Um, you have the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana.
Peasant,
Farmers.
peasant,
Yeah.
PE.
Yeah. Association of Ghana. They are just not a farmers association, but they are also more like a lobbying group.
That's not what I'm looking for.
Exactly. So they are there. Then you have the Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Vegetables Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Um, then you have we have what you call GAVEX. They are also vegetable exporters, but they broke away from the main Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association to form GAVEX, which is Ghana Vegetable Exporters. Okay, so they are basically the same thing. So
Those three that you said, which one is the best as a non-farmer I can go to, call, ask for information, ask for help to employ somebody if I need somebody to employ? Which of those three realize most for me, and I don't need to export, I need to produce?
yeah. Okay, so among those three, the leading one in terms of structure, in terms of reach, I mean, they are rich in terms of policy and all of that. Peasant farmers, because peasant farmers are always invited, even when they are drafting the budget. But the problem there is that because they are so high, if you are new, it becomes difficult for them to give you attention.
Because there's no service.
Yeah. So you come now to VPEC, which is Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association of Ghana. Their office is at Burma Camp. I have been a consultant for them before, um, so I know them very well. And I think they have a secretariat in charge of supporting people who want to go into farming. So they have a general secretary, they have a functioning office, they have an export facility for those who want to export. So, and they have been given a code by the Ministry of Agri. So if you want to pack your produce, you can go to their export facility, pack it, and they supervise the packing, put their code on it. So when it gets to the airport, they already know that it's coming from them. Yeah.
So if I need an expert to help me set my vegetable farm, I can go to Vegetable and Exportation Association,
Yeah.
and they'll refer me to an expert that
Yeah.
will come to my land.
Yeah.
I'll pay him what it does, and
Yeah.
they'll plan the land for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me exactly where to put my stuff.
Yeah.
And if I need to employ somebody to take care of it, that association will refer to me some people
Yeah.
that I can trust.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
That's what I want.
You can get it from VPEC. And also from Gavex. You can get the same thing also from Gavex. Right. So I would give you their contacts after we finish this presentation. I can share their contacts um, for all of us to be able to contact them. Your next question.
The next question, how do you decide which crop is the best? Because I know depending which region you are, that you cannot plant the same crop. So how do you decide which, like, let's say I want to do potato or tomato. How do I see if the land is good for what I want to put? Or
Okay.
the area or whatever?
Okay, so this is what we call good agricultural practices. That is where good agricultural practices start from. So this question you are asking is a question which is also being asked by an expert. It's an expert question. It's not a novice question because that is the first step. So we have some things you can do. For example, you can do your soil test, and the soil test can be done in Ghana here by CSIR, Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, and it can also be done by the University of Ghana. And University of Ghana gives a more comprehensive report compared to CSIR, because for CSIR you have to pay for everything. If they have to give you a comment, you have to pay, and all of that. Yes, but for if you go to University of Ghana, I think they have a package where they do the soil analysis and give you the explanations. The scientist actually makes his comments on the report. Okay, and once you get your soil analysis, then based on the report, you can decide which crop to put on the soil. Because as you know, you might know already, every crop and its requirement in terms of nutrients and other factors. So once you get your soil analysis report, you can decide which crops to put there. And you can involve an expert also to help you to take that decision. And if you contact VPEC or GAVEX or even the Peasant Farmers Association, I believe they should be able to assist with an expert.
And my last question is how to do organic fertilizer, because you said 90% of the organic of the fertilizer is
Imported.
Yeah.
So if we decide to do fertilization, I would wonder organic one. Is it easy to do, and is there resources I can contact here? I know like you just gave it to me, but
Yeah, so I know of a few, just about two companies that are into organic fertilizer production. One is in Kumasi, but I don't know if anybody else here knows any company. When you have your turn, you can let us know. There is also one member of VPET that I know of that is specialized in organic fertilizer production. In fact, he's not a Ghanaian. He comes from another country, I think Thailand or one of those countries, and he decided to come and stay in Ghana because he saw that opportunity, and he joined VPEC. So, Vegetable Producers and Exporters Association. The acronym is VPEC. So he joined VPEC and he came to make a short presentation on that. And they don't just produce, they train in the production as well. Yeah. So when you contact VPEC, I believe they can lead you to this man if he's still in Ghana, or any other organic fertilizer production opportunities. Thank you very much. Next question.
What about wholesome seeds? Seeds that are non-GMO or
Hybrid.
Like heirloom seeds that will that you can make new seeds.
Yeah. In fact, until we had all these external forces pushing us to accept hybrid seeds, we were producing much of our seeds ourselves. In fact, before I came here this morning, I had collected pawpaw seeds, which I want to plant, and I collected the seeds myself. So collecting your own seeds, for me, I think it will help you as a farmer, because seeds are becoming expensive. If you collect your own seeds, all these shocks in terms of CD depreciation, in terms of, will not affect you, because you will not buy your seeds from those sources. And there are methods, very simple traditional methods that you can use to collect various seeds. Okay, so you need to talk to somebody who has an understanding in those seeds collection to guide you for whichever crop you want to produce, to collect your own seeds. Unfortunately, the hybrid seeds have taken over the production terrain now. So sometimes it becomes very difficult to get seeds that you can recollect. You know, it become, but there are some. As I said, I've just collected some pawpaw seeds on my own. So we can talk on it later if you want to proceed further, which crop you want to do and where and how we can assist you to collect seeds. Right.
Thank you. Now, what I want to say is not really a question, but it's also a question, in a sense that we're all attempting to produce and start farming ourselves, and both of us are foreign. Now, it's made my sound, but some governments have the great habit of increasing prices once they hear your accent or hear see your hair or anything. And if you do not have proper connections or know proper people, you'll be cheated and spend like huge amounts of money that you're not good. So I was suggesting that since we are the first, not per se the first, but we are coming together after doing the process, we think it's better to establish our own sort of farmers market, whereby we that will now enter that we can sell towards each other. Then when since we are aware that more foreigners will be coming, we can then sell towards them and like
Yeah, brother, I think that is the opportunity right there I was talking about. And it's a, I don't know how many of you think you don't agree with him. I won't find any. That is a smooth drive into the solution. We can form our own, even when it comes to the production. We can do some paperwork just to cover our backs, and we can come together and get a land somewhere and divide it among ourselves. If we need to employ others to take care of it for us, all we need to do is to make sure that we have the system of check and balances in place. We can always do that. So instead of somebody having 1 acre in the Volta region, another person having 1 acre in the central region, and all of that, we can all come together with Sister Ya facilitating, put some money.
Why me? Trying to give me more work.
Yeah, because we are looking for the solution. We facilitate ourselves, and get if 50 acres, 20 acres, whatever acres available, we get it at one place, those of us here, and okay, we ask ourselves, what do you want to produce? We do our soil test. We know that the place is good for this crop, that crop, that crop, that crop. And we say, okay, sister, what do you want to produce? Okay, maize. Sister, what do you want to produce? Okay, sweet potatoes. We and then we allocate. It becomes like a block farm, and we have common facilities, handling facilities. We have common irrigation and all of that. And if we are 20 here, if all of us is given 1 hectare, we already have 20 hectares, and we can sell that food amongst ourselves. Of course, you will not, you will always have the surplus for yourself. So it means you will not be dependent on the entire 1 hectare unless you have a very, very large family. But otherwise, you can always have the surplus for yourselves. The rest, you can sell it to our brothers and sisters from the diaspora who come here and they are vulnerable to some of the bad practices that they meet. And by so doing, you are also making things easier for them. I believe a lot of our brothers and sisters want to come down here, but for some of the issues that you mentioned, so they are a bit scared. But if we are able to implement things like this, some ideas such as this, we make it easier for them to come down here and live Yas country.
This is my country.
Your country you don't want to go to.
This is my country.
So so we can do that, brother. So we can kickstart it right from today, right? Okay.
What about fertilizer, making your own fertilizer?
Yeah, that is.
Well, that's what he was just. That's the question he just.
Yeah, so that is for organic, but making inorganic fertilizer, because of the formula, the scientific issues and all of that, sometimes you need the machines and stuff like that. It becomes a bit
Expensive.
challenging. But for organic, you can use simple stuff in our environment to make it. And I want to draw your attention to one fact. Being in agribusiness is not only about the primary production. It's not only about going to the farm and putting the thing on the ground. You can take any of the stuff that goes into production of food, like the production of fertilizer. It's also an agribusiness. Production of seeds is also an agribusiness. And all these things are serious opportunities if you want to become a millionaire or a billionaire.
Or just eat.
Yeah, yeah. Because the research has pointed to it. So for some years now, Africa Development Bank is pumping money into agric because they've seen it. All this, Yah was talking about New World Order. Let's say, as predicted, the dollar falls. A lot of companies that are making these things are going to fall with the dollar. So right from there, if you have it here, you are going to replace those companies if you do things right today. So if you look at Bayer, for example, and all those big corporations, they may fall with the dollar, or at least if the dollar goes down, they will try to find other partnerships in other areas or in other jurisdictions. So if your company is available, then you benefit from their expertise also. So let's look at the opportunity.
I know you have good experience in this field. I want to ask you about land. Like, where would you suggest from the more fertile areas or better areas to look for land to start a small home?
Okay, so that comes to your question. So First of all, it depends on what you want to produce. So you can start from the end, or you can start from the beginning. I mean, so you start from the end if you already know what you want to produce.
Then you look for
Then
land.
you look for land suitable for that. But if you are still figuring out how to produce, and you have the opportunity of getting the land, you do your soil analysis and you use that to determine what you want to produce. Now, land availability. Right now, yeah, it's also becoming a challenge because of our friends in real estate. Anyway, let me say that we have these houses also available. This is $120,000, but we have $45,000 houses also available, $65,000. 2 bedroom, you have free air condition. 3 bedroom, you have 2 free air conditions with everything. You just bring your stuff in and start living. $45,000, $65,000, $120,000 based on your strength. And it's at Tema Community 25 and Spinters. So you can pick the number, a short advert.
Are they on one plot or?
See that?
Are they on one plot
No, they are like on a quarter plot.
or quarter plot?
Yeah.
So it's an estate.
Exactly, it's an estate. Okay, so let me come back to availability of land. Brother, I'll come to you. Availability of land in Accra, don't even think about it.
Right. Tell me about
Yeah, don't even think about it. Just close your mind.
it. Right.
You can look a bit into Eastern region from Insawam. Insawam is still scarce, but you can manage to get a few for rental or leasing. You can look into the Volta region also. You can get for rent or for leasing. You can look into the middle belt like Brongahafo, Kumasi, and those areas. But if you live in Accra and you want to be closer, I always advise new farmers. If you want to go into farming, please try as much as possible not to be an absentee farmer. It's very risky.
He said, if you are a new farmer, just getting into it, try not to be an absentee farmer. You need to be present. You need to be checking on it. You need to see what's going on. That's what he said. If you do it like this, then the speaker will come. It's people.
Thanks. So don't be an absentee farmer. I have built a place right on the farm where I stay. So I can go spend 2 weeks, 3 weeks, make sure I get my stuff done, and then I come down. So if you are going into farming and you have your land, before you start production, think about where can I stay out of my home to get the stuff done. Even if you need to rent a single room within the community to stay there, because driving there and coming back will also cost you. But for whatever it takes, try not to be an absentee farmer. Right. So you can look at Volta region, you can look at Central region, you can look at the Middle Belt, the Savannah areas, you can look at Eastern region. And I believe also is becoming more experienced in terms of land issues in Ghana, so you can talk to her. You can also talk to me for us to discuss how we can get land for you to start. Great. Let me go to this brother. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Certain seeds and certain things that you were able to, that you would have limitations on. Are there still, is that still going on, or are you free to grow or plant or do whatever seeds that you can do?
Okay, so as far as I'm concerned, okay, so let me reiterate your question for the benefit of those who didn't hear you, and also to make sure that I heard you right. You was asking, are there limitations to what you can do as a farmer in terms of how to plant, where to get your seeds, and stuff like that?
I think he was asking, are you free to use whatever seeds? Is that what your question is? Because you were saying the hybrid GMOs have taken over.
Yeah.
So he wants to know if you still have the option to use regular heirloom seeds if you want, is what he's asking.
Okay, so let me start from where I left off before I come. In Ghana, we don't do GMO here. Hybrid seeds are not GMO. I mean, we have to get that
Okay.
hybrid seeds are not GMO. I mean, they are just ordinary seeds which have been treated in the lab, but they have not been genetically modified. They have been treated to be resistant to pests and diseases and stuff like that. Yeah, but generally, it is not considered a GMO.
And but those hybrid seeds will not germinate for you to produce more seeds.
Exactly. And even if they germinate, the quality of the produce you get will be less. So that is it. So coming to your question, in Ghana, I don't know of any limitation as to what you can produce as a farmer, except the crop is an illegal crop like hemp or something like that. So it's not legal to produce it in Ghana, but apart from that, uh, you are free to produce any crop that has market potential for you or that has some value for you. Okay, so there is no limitation. Okay.
So I just wanted to know, can you speak a little bit on farming cooperatives that are here in Ghana? Because those are very large. They can pretty much hold your hand through the entire process from beginning to end if you're coming into farming. And in reference to the community farming, I'll give it that title. There's some group of people near Cape Coast that's getting that started, where everyone who has their own little garden or small, like maybe half an acre, and they're planting food on it, you come together in a group and then you exchange. So maybe I have carrots, you don't have carrots. You have tomatoes, but I don't have tomatoes. I'll give you my carrots, you give me some tomatoes. Then the other benefit of the community farming as well is called a seed library, where you set up a seed library. So when you do your crops, then you get the seeds from it, and you just like you go into the library and you give your library card and take a book out, and then you bring a book back. Where you take seeds out and you bring seeds back, and then the seeds are always there. So there are people here that are doing seeds indigenous to the land, and those hybrid seeds and fertilizer and all of that is by design to keep us uh, dependent on their companies to supply fertilizers to us and to supply seeds to us. Because as you said, those hybrid seeds, they don't make seed. You can't get seeds from them. So that forces you to have those seeds from the company. Also, those seeds make it where you have to use fertilizer. Whereas if we go back to what our ancestors were doing and farm with things in mind that they were using that's around us, that's already in our environment, it's not necessary to become, say, like dependent on those hybrid seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. So those are, but if you could speak on the cooperative farming, because I know there's a ministry that supports cooperative farmers in Ghana, and usually those cooperatives are very helpful.
Right, thanks a lot. If you had been in a little earlier, you would have had the answer. But
I
let me.
would like to.
Oh, okay.
I heard, but you didn't talk about cooperative.
Okay. Okay.
There's a large organization here with over 700 farmers.
Yeah.
And if you don't want to farm, you can, it's like you do crowdfunding,
Yeah.
but they do crowd farming.
Yeah.
And that's how it's set up.
Okay, so I think since you are the one that knows about it, then you tell everybody about it because maybe he doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? But clearly you know about it, so and you just tell everybody about it.
So,
Yeah, come over.
so what I do know about it is that there's a group of farmers and they do education, they do seminars, they do classes. They also help you with financing. If you want to finance um, your farm, as far as the capital that's needed, also financing with your crop. They also look for buyers, which are called off takers. Those off takers, you contract with them, and then they take a percentage of your harvest, and then a certain percentage is left for the local community. They don't take all. It's not like they're going to come in and off take 100%, but they can come in and off take, say, let's say 60%, and then 40% is left for the community. Also, they will, if you don't necessarily want to own the land and own the farm, you can go in with someone who owns the land and owns the farm, and then you bring financial resources together with them, and then you benefit from the harvest from that particular farm. Um, they also make sure that you are abreast of the latest technology that's available. There are some organic fertilizers in Ghana. There's some companies that are making organic fertilizers that you could. Where's what happened? All over Ghana. Yeah. It's called Dars Farm. That's one of the cooperatives. But then DARSFARM. And what I'll do is I'll send the link to Sister Ya's platform so it'll be there for you. But there's more cooperatives. That's just one of them. There's quite a few. And what you can do is get in contact with them and vet them for yourself to see if it's a cooperative that you want to be a part of. I'm on some of their platforms. A lot of information comes across about conferences that are coming up, and as I said, classes. I did a value added class, which where you could make ginger beer, pineapple beer, mango beer, just from the scraps of the fruit, just from the peelings of the fruit. So what they were training was that we want we want zero waste. We want to use every single part of the fruit. So that was one of the classes. They just recently had a class a couple of days ago on poultry, pork, and one other animal. But anyway, husbandry farming. So they had a class on that as well. So it's a great cooperative to be a part of. It's throughout Ghana. Yeah. The members are throughout Ghana. Their office is in Accra. In forgive me if I pronounce this incorrectly, but it's in Awushi. Awushi. Yeah, their office is in Awushi.
All right. All right. Thank you so much for that information. That's valuable information. I hope y'all took notes. Um, Kuana. You didn't give him your name?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So, that good idea, and that's similar to what our brother here was suggesting. That you could join one of those, or you could get with some other diasporas and create your own cooperative. Some of the things that I was thinking about is some of us have land because even if you want to go into the farming aspect, you need to be have some land even where you live and grow something yes to eat I don't care if it's cucumbers, onions, tomatoes, just for yourself and your family, you should be growing something. Okay. Also, you should be stocking. You should start when you go and buy foods, non-perishable foods, you should be getting extra. So when you get one bag of rice, buy two. It's not to go out and spend thousands of Ghana CDs all at once, but just know this: the price of a can of tomatoes or a can of corn or whatever is not going to be the same price a month from now. This is the lowest it's going to be today. It's the lowest it's going to be. You understand what I'm saying? Because of inflation, the prices are going to increase. So everybody, not just here in Ghana, but for my family in the States, I've been telling them start stocking up. The prices are increasing. Your grocery bill is going to go up. So along with cooperative farming, which I think is a great idea, I even before you all came here, I called my husband on the phone and put my husband on the phone with Nana. I'm like, we got to get with Nana and start and put something in the ground on a large scale. We have our food that we grow on our land around our house, but I'm talking about on a larger scale. We need to get some things in the ground for commercial production. So even if you don't want to get into the commercial production of food, plant something for your family. I cannot stress this enough. Stock up, start stocking up, and plant something where you live for your family, where you can just go outside and pick something and have something to eat. Okay. Anybody else have any? Okay. I'm gonna come to. I wanted a couple other points I wanted to make. Medicine, because this is one we're not talking about. The ingredients for the medicines that we use, not just here, but even in America, comes mostly from China and somewhere else. So they're even telling people if you have some medicine that you have to have, you're a diabetic, or if you have, need insulin, or if you have asthma, all those things, your children have problems, your parents have problems, you need to start getting as much of that stuff as you possibly can, because it may be, as some of the experts are predicting, you won't be able to get those things, and that's a terrible situation to be in. Can you imagine America, the ingredients that Americans use in these drugs, they get from China? See, so that is a problem. That is a whole problem. So we have to, even some of the medicines that we are taking, let's start looking at some natural ways to treat those things in case we can't get that actual medicine. But for me, things like pain medicine, aspirin, here, all y'all know, I know I ain't alone. We get the bubble guts and we have that. We had a run for a few days and ate something. That medicine, that medicine they got at the farm, that over-the-counter medicine, you get it in a couple days, you find you need to start stocking up on that. Stock up on everything that you think you can possibly need. I'm getting pain medication, everything, vitamins, everything that I think my son and I will need. I'm buying extra. I don't need it right now, but I'm going to have it in case there's a shortage. Okay. So with that being said, Sister Erica.
Yeah, I know I came in late, but did you all discuss food preservation, like canning, dehydrating? Because if you're growing your food, I mean, if you can compost and things like that, but also so you can have something in the future. Just harvest.
Yeah, so no, we haven't brought that up here, but I don't know. A few months back, I did have a class on that here at Palace Afrika. But I don't know. I think Sister Lois came. We held a class on how to can. You know how your grandparents used to make preserves and things like that. Sister Kwana, you were here too, right? So we had a class and we talked about dehydrating fruits and vegetables to make them last longer, and how to can, how to preserve, and get in mason jars. And so we didn't discuss that here today, but I have had a class on that. That's very important.
Yeah, I think that's also very important, food preservation. So I don't know, for the benefit of those who couldn't attend the class, can you give us some short information on it?
Well, I mean, I've read up on it and done some research, and I think we can. I mean, there's so many different things you can do with food that you grow, particularly like the herbs, like you buy these seasonings out of the store. You can grow your herbs and get dehydrated. Some people use machines to do it. Some people sun dry them. They do have these.
You want to come use the mic, please? And this is Sister Erica.
Oh,
Sister Erica. I'm not an expert in the area. I just do a lot of reading on it. And basically, you can, when you're growing your own food, you can preserve your tomatoes. You can sun dry them. You can can them, as Sister Ya says. Some people also infuse them with oils. That also preserves it. Instead of buying your seasonings out the store, like I said, you can grow your herbs, you can sun dry them, you can dehydrate them with different machines and grind them up in like a coffee grinder or with a mortar and pestle. So there are different ways that you can actually preserve your food. I mean, it's important to grow it, but also to preserve it so you can have it in the future so that, you know, your food doesn't go bad. So that's pretty much what I had. I do have some books and stuff that I can forward to Sister Yah if she wants to pass those on that shows you how to do different things like that. Or I'll post it in the group. So.
Or she could just give you a number and you can contact her directly. Uh-huh.
So I can just say that this kind of trying help from the motive for food sufficiency. I think it was something that we would as a networking or people coming together type of exercise. So there's a lot of times when we're just isolating our silos doing what we're doing to survive in God. But I know there's different cultures in Italy and Spain. These people, like older women, they'd come together and get crops and they'd sit there like once, twice a week and they come together and do their drying. And I think it's not just the food sufficiency, but the means of networking and social life. I think they're important.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. But I think in the U.S., I don't know who else. Well, I'm from Mississippi, and that's what we used to do in Mississippi. Our grandparents and things, when it was harvesting time or when it was time to slaughter a hog or animal and all that, they would all come together and do those things together. You know what I'm saying? And then every family would get some of it, you know. So, or you came to my granddaddy, and helped him slaughter his hog and cure the meat and all that stuff. And then everybody, when it's time for you to do yours, everybody go to your house and help you do it over there. You know what I mean? Or the ladies would come to my grandmother's and they would, pick the greens, the collard greens and the peas and all that stuff. And so, yeah, we historically, that's how we did it. We have unfortunately taken on the ways of the people that we've been living with and become so separate and individual and, just thinking about me and my family, just me and my family, you know what I mean? So we definitely have to overcome that. And at the end of the day, we don't want to see any of us here hungry or going without food. You understand? So the time to do something is now. We see it happening. It's like watching a train wreck. But what are we going to do to protect ourselves? We're watching this literally happening before our eyes. So we have to get serious and proactive and start doing something. So that's why we had this meeting today. Does anybody have any other thing that they want to contribute or add to the discussion today? No? Okay, Brother Yao.
I just want to emphasize that we should try as much as possible.
Brother Yao, I'm streaming. Can you come so that people can hear you? But the problem is the people are saying that they can't hear on here. On here.
Oh, okay.
I know.
So I just want us to emphasize growing whatever food you want to produce organically. It doesn't make sense for us to talk about food security, survival, and then you go produce DDT lettuce.
Yeah.
Or watermelon. And the system promote the use of chemicals for their own reasons.
Medicine. We call it medicine.
I call it poison.
I know. That's what it is. I call it medicine.
It's poison, yeah. So it may not be popular, but like Sister Erica said, you can read up on things. There are people around who know how to get organic fertilizers. You can read up on it. It's not that difficult. So I want to emphasize where I live. Around me, people do small scale farming, and they do okra and eggplant. Is eggplant?
Mm-hmm. They call it
yeah,
garden egg.
garden egg. And I see them producing, but the chemicals. Yeah, and I can't eat from them because I know what they're putting into it. So why would I do that? So I know it's cheaper and all that other stuff, and it's easier with we decide it's easier, but I would try for us, even as a cooperative, not to go there. And you can grow bigger. I've seen a brother in Chechen, he grows big cabbages, and he doesn't use chemicals. So there are ways. I
That
just want
cooperative is organic.
Yeah, so
That
which is good. That
particular
was helpful
cooperative is all
information. Yeah,
organic.
so I just want to emphasize that a couple years ago, Jerry Rollins is a friend to the diaspora. He gave land in a moment for diasporas coming back, and then we were also working the land with some Ghanaians, Ghanaian Rastas, and there was a clash because we were saying growing things organically. There's no like we just want to. It's easier and faster and quicker, and it was a real clash of understanding. So I just want to emphasize: let's go organic. Let's do it the right way. If you're
Yeah.
talking about survival, that's the only way to go.
Absolutely.
Let me make a comment
Absolutely.
on this.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll come to you. So I think the point you have raised is very important. I have asked this question before to some European friends of mine, and I asked them before they made the first insecticide for crops, or the first weedicide, or the first inorganic fertilizer, what was our ancestors using that we were never hungry? Organic farming has been our way. It has been our natural way of producing food. So this farming method where we use chemicals is completely alien to the African. So now they sold the use of chemicals to us and we adopted it. Let me say we foolishly adopted it. And now they have repackaged our own method of farming and called it organic. Yeah, because for us, we didn't know anything apart from organic. And that's why we don't even have a term for it because that is the way we produce our food. So using of chemicals was completely alien to us. So it's a real challenge that we have on our hands. So we have to try our best. I say that the best approach to doing organic farming is to do block farming because I have an experience in terms, all this drive for chemical use in farming is because of the big industries. It's because of the big industries because an acre of farm produce cannot help them to operate their machines. So they need large quantities of farm produce to operate their machines. It's not because we are not efficient. It's not because we don't have yield that will let us fight hunger or something like that. It's because they were not getting enough from us if we produce organic because we were producing in small quantities in families and all of that, and we're able to feed ourselves with that. So it's right. We need to look at organic, and they are now coming back to us, telling us that our chemicals are poisoning them when we never knew about chemicals, and they want to blame us. They want to blame us for using chemicals when they were the one who introduced, forced the hands of our government to import those things so that we can produce enough for them to make chocolate and stuff like that when we don't eat chocolate. All right, that's just a comment in passing.
All right. Yes, brother.
Um, so I just like to I emphasize on what you said about the damages that the chemicals are doing to the food. Previously, you could buy a carrot, you put it in your on your table, not even the fridge, and it can last like a whole week or 2 weeks. Now, when you put it on for 3 days, you come in, you don't even realize what you're eating. It's like that, and the rice sometimes is plastic. The food that you eat, before you realize, you don't really understand. And the next thing that I like to I think the audience is that despite the fact that we're mainly into agriculture, most of us here have like experienced different professions and acts in America and stuff like that. And they could also really help each other in the current country that we are. Like for example, people mostly maybe did science or did a medical field or something like that. You could also help somebody else understand more about that field things in the family, like in school or stuff like that, like understanding and stuff like that.
Okay, okay. Thank you, thank you. All right. Any other comments or questions or anything anybody want to share? Yes, Sister Erica.
One more thing. Activated charcoal actually does pull toxins out of your. So you buy the produce and it has pesticides on it. You can put some activated charcoal in some water and let it soak for 20 minutes and it'll pull the toxins out. And also, if you have an upset stomach, you put a teaspoon, yeah, a teaspoon of activated charcoal, maybe a tablespoon and some water mixed in a drink. It's just gonna absorb all those toxins and it'll stop the diarrhea whenever you have them.
So Sister Erica is saying that activated charcoal, if you soak your fruits and vegetables in water with activated charcoal, it will pull out toxins. And also if you got the bubble guts, a teaspoon of activated charcoal and some water, drink that and that'll clear up any diarrhea issues.
Okay, so just to add to what she said, you see, the issue about using chemicals is not only about the toxins that come into your food, it's also about the land itself
Yeah.
and the water bodies around, and even the friendly animals around, to pollinate. So if you use insecticide on your farm, you can detoxify it when it gets to your table, but you have damaged the ecosystem, completely. And over time, you realize that sometimes if you plant things which require pollination, you need to do hand pollination because the um, bees and insects that are friendly, that can pollinate for you, you have eliminated all of them with your insecticide. So it's not only about what comes to your table, it's also about the environment. And some of our communities also depend on the streams and the water bodies. So you use the weedicide and it leaches into the water table. And this can affect years to come. You do your well, you dig your well, and it will be polluted with weedicide or insecticide because it has leached into the water table. So it's bigger than just getting the thing on our table. So that is why we have to make the effort as much as we can to try and do organic or at least minimize the use of the chemicals. Yeah, as much as we can. There are a lot of practical approach we can. Those of us who would like to, how do I put it? Give it a try. Give farming a try. You talk to us, myself, Sister Ya. When you are in touch with Sister Ya, you can always get in touch with me. I'm also a consultant, so I help farmers who want to go into farming, help them to set up, just like the question our brother asked. That's what I do. So I go to Nigeria and other and not just the smallholder farmers, even the big commercial farms. I help some of them to do some of these things right. Okay, so we can talk about it, and it is my big desire that those of us who have come to this program today, we can take a step. We can take a step because once we take that step, we have to know that we are addressing the problem for which we have gathered here today, food security or food insecurity. The step you take today, based on any of the issues we have discussed now, is your contribution to the solution. If you listen to this program and you don't take the step, then you have not contributed to the solution. You have only been present. So let's move from being present to bringing our hands on deck to the solution. So let's talk after the program and see what we can do together.
Also, if you don't have land, you know somebody that have land, they're not doing anything on the land, maybe they really aren't in a position to start building or anything, start getting with those people within the community, figure out what y'all can do on that land. There are some other things that I'm looking into, like hydroponics. Doing the fish. You can farm fish on a small amount of land. You understand what I'm saying? Snail farming, because with the fruits and vegetables. I know some of y'all don't eat meat, but I eat meat. Okay, and I like meat, and I want to keep eating it. Okay, so get with people and listen. We got to do something. Like I said, at the end of the day, and like my brother is saying, let's not just come here and talk about what the problem is and then leave and we don't do anything. We have to do something, okay? Because this is a serious impending. This is happening. This is a critical issue. It's serious, okay? All right. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm going to stop the live stream. You can stay, socialize. The sister got some food over there. I think Prince said that. Prince, there's beer, right? Water, beer, all those things for sale. I think the wheat came from Russia or Ukraine. Hey, I just thought about it. Is he gonna take my beer intake? This did y'all know a lot of these things they are saying? A lot of countries are making the decision to stop exporting. So the things that you have been relying on to make, one of the things, for example, the bakers, who make this delicious bread that we eat here in Ghana, that fresh bread warm out the oven, that I have with my Milo. So they are complaining that because the wheat and all of that is coming from Ukraine and those areas. So they have to figure out something. But somebody was telling me about cassava. That we have cassava here. They can make cassava flour to bake. So it's a matter of trying to now substitute what we have here in the country to keep getting those same things that we like to eat. So it's a lot going on. It's a lot. So yes, bro.
So one quick thing though, with all the farming that we intend to do, I think it's still important on the side somewhere to grow flowers because they attract pollinators. We need to give the pollinators something to attract other than just the things we're buying.
I understand.
We see a lot of successful cases. And also, as far as insecticides, we can plant certain plants like mustard that will act as a natural herbicide, pesticide.
Oh, okay. What's that plant?
Mustard leaves.
Mustard leaves.
Yeah, mustard.
Something like mustard greens?
Mustard greens, not mustard greens, yes.
But can you eat the mustard greens?
Yes, of course you can. With the bread and the meat.
My smoked turkey. Oh yeah. So what the brother is saying is there are plants that you can plant. Like if you choose to use those herbicides and pesticides, there are certain plants. I heard sunflower too. That sunflower sucks up toxins out of the soil. And the brother is saying mustard greens will suck up toxins out of the soil. So that's good to know. But we will try to be organic. Is that not right? We will try our best to be organic. That will be our first option.
What about rice? I didn't hear anybody mention natural brown rice. Who's growing that here?
There's local, they have local, you can buy local rice anywhere, right? Local rice is in the market. Local Ghana brown rice is in the markets. Yeah.
So let me say that we have local rice, brown rice on the market, but when you are buying it, just be careful because some of them just back other types of rice and label it. Yeah. Yeah. So you can get, you have there is a shop at Springtest called Ghana Yet Premier. Ghana Yet Premier. I'll send a link to you to share. Right. So and I haven't bought rice from them before, but I've seen a lot of adverts from them advertising local rice and various brands of local rice. So we cannot give it a try if you want to get a point where you can buy quality local rice. Right.
All right. Thanks again. Y'all stay. Let's socialize. The meeting is officially over. But thank you all for coming. I hope you found it informative. All right, family. Thank y'all for attending. I hope you all found this informative, and I hope you all also take some steps to address any food insecurities for yourselves and your families and your communities. Take care. All right.
Can I use the mic?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so